National Disaster Resilience Month. Ako po si Andrew Ramos from the Geospatial Information System Management Branch, your host and facilitator for this morning. Okay, so before we begin, it is but proper that we start our day with a prayer to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
If my people humble themselves and pray, if they seek my face and humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins. I will hear from heaven's arms and heal the land.
Lord, heal our land. Father, heal our land. Hear our cry and turn our nation back to you. Lord, heal our land. Hear us, O Lord, and heal our land. Forgive our sin and heal our broken land. Lord, we vow our knee, we humble ourselves and pray. Lord, we seek your face and humble ourselves and turn from our wicked ways. Father, in your mercy, forgive our sins. Father, in your mercy, come heal our land. Lord, heal our land.
Father, heal our land. Hear our cry and turn our nation back to you. Lord, heal our land. Hear us, O Lord, and heal our land. Forgive our sin and heal our broken land. Lord, heal our land. Father, heal our land. Hear our cry and turn our nation back to you. Lord, heal our land. Hear us, O Lord, and heal our land. Forgive our sin and heal our broken land. Father, heal our land.
Forgive our sin and heal our broken land.
Bayang maliliw, pero sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinihang, tiyak ka ng malili, sa manlulubi, di ka masisili. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukang, may nilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isang ng wataw at may tagumpay dahil ang bituin
Okay, muli po, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. So, siguro po just some ground rules po para maging smooth po yung ating webinar for this morning. Okay, so first po, please ensure that your microphones, if ever yung sa mga kasama ko ngayon sa Zoom, are muted to avoid any feedback. And yung sa mga kasama natin sa mga Zoom participants, hello po, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. So mag-allocate po tayo ng sapat na panahon at oras para po sa inyong mga katanungan. Okay, so may Q&A portion po tayo later. So please maximize yung chat box po natin sa ating YouTube channel. I-type nyo lang po dun yung mga questions ninyo para po masasagot po natin ito later. Okay, so okay po ba sa lahat? Muli po, ito po yung webinar on NAMRIA's observance for the 2021 National Disaster Resilience Month. Okay, so formally, we will open now our program for this morning, and I would like to turn over the floor to our OIC Deputy Administrator, John Fabi. So magandang umaga, Boss John, over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. That was actually a surprise. So I thought it's going to be Director Feds will be formally opening this webinar this morning. But anyway, thank you very much for participating in this webinar. And I hope that at the end of this webinar, everybody will get to learn a lot from how NAMRIA is addressing our issues on national resilience, disaster resilience. And this is very timely in the sense that since we are also celebrating this National Disaster Resilience Month, we all know very well that there's now like heavy rains all over Metro Manila and some parts of the country. And as we all know, some areas are badly hit by these heavy rains, especially in some parts of Cavite, Laguna, and even Metro Manila. So it's very important that we will not only like watch out for the heavy rains and typhoons and the effect of the hydrometeorological hazards, but in a way we should also be prepared for the what we call the big one, which is if ever it happens, gonna happen, it's gonna hit Metro Manila, the magnitude 7.2 earthquake, right? So NAMRIA, through the RDAB, or our Resource Data Analysis Branch, has undertaken a project which we call mapping of open spaces. That's actually helping the national government prepare our metropolitan population in case the big one happens. God forbid it will not. But so I think it's going to be discussed and presented and explained later by our resource persons from RDAB. So just relax, enjoy this morning despite the heavy rains, and hopefully we will be able to absorb and take into heart all that we will be viewing and listening to in this morning's webinar. So with that, again, good morning, and keep safe, stay safe, and keep healthy, everyone. Thank you very much, Andrew. Over to you.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Boss John, for that opening remarks. So bago po ang lahat, syempre na-mention na po ng ating Deputy Administrator ang NAMRIA. And I think there are participants out there na nanonood po ngayon sa ating YouTube channel na baka hindi pa masyadong familiar ano ba yung ginagawa ng NAMRIA. What is our mandate and what are our products and services? So I hope to answer some of those questions. And what a better way for us to actually introduce to you NAMRIA, but to show to you an audio-visual presentation of what the NAMRIA is all about. Okay po? So roll VTR, ipapakita na po namin sa inyo ngayon ang NAMRIA AVP.
Maps are essential tools to help people locate objects, features, and events, and navigate their way on the surface of the Earth. Maps enable us to discover, know, and analyze our environment. Maps provide information to be used for planning, decision-making, operations, and governance. More than 80% of the information needed in everyday life deal with location or geography of people, places, things, and events. The National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, or NAMRIA, plays an important role in generating and managing maps and geospatial information. It is an agency of the Philippine government attached to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, as the country's central mapping and geospatial information management agency. NAMRIA serves the needs of the line services of DENR, other government offices, and the general public. NAMRIA's mission is to provide quality topographic maps, nautical charts, and other geospatial products and services in a timely and coordinated manner. NAMRIA envisions itself to be a center of excellence, building a geospatially empowered Philippines where government, businesses, and individuals make full use of geospatial information in making important decisions and conducting their daily activities. NAMRIA has 6 core functions. Geodetic Reference System Development. Pursuant to Executive Order Number 192, NAMRIA is mandated to establish and maintain the primary geodetic control network for all surveying and mapping in the country. It is in line with this mandate that the agency is undertaking the modernization of the Philippine Geodetic Reference System, or PGRS, as part of its vision of building a geospatially empowered Philippines. The modernization program is aligned with Resolution 266, adopted by the United Nations General Assembly during its 69th session, dated 26 February 2015, that recommends the adoption and active participation of member states. In the definition of a Global Geodetic Reference Frame, or GGRF, for sustainable development. The program will upgrade the existing Philippine reference system of 1992 from a static and local system to a datum aligned with a GGRF that is in sync with real-world ground deformations and is managed and utilized by competent PGRS stakeholders. Topographic mapping. NAMRIA produces topographic and derivative maps on various scales, in paper or digital forms. These are used as basic tools and references by the government for infrastructure and development planning, disaster risk reduction and management, environmental protection, and research and development. They are also used by the private sector in investment planning and exploration, by the academic and science communities in research activities, and by the general public. Topographic maps are regularly updated using satellite images and aerial photographs, and from the conduct of field validation surveys. Small and medium-scale topographic maps of 1 to 250,000 and a 1 to 50,000 scale respectively generally cover large areas for macro planning. Large-scale topographic maps of 1 to 10,000 and 1 to 4,000 scale or larger cover smaller areas but are more accurate and show more detail. NAMRIA likewise produces updated administrative maps in the form of provincial and regional maps. Hydrography, physical oceanography, and nautical charting. NAMRIA conducts hydrographic and physical oceanographic surveys and produces nautical charts like berthing, harbor, approach, coastal, general sailing, and overview charts covering the country's maritime jurisdictions. The agency also publishes predicted tide and current tables, coast pilot books, lists of lights, notices to mariners, and other nautical publications. Nautical charts and publications ensure safety in maritime navigation and provide basic information for the management of the maritime space and resources, as well as base data for climate change studies. Charts and hydrographic data are important in complying with the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea relative to the country's maritime entitlements. Likewise, the nautical publications are required under the Safety of Life at Sea Convention under the International Maritime Organization. Environment and Natural Resource Mapping. NAMRIA conducts nationwide environment and natural resource assessment and mapping of various thematic geospatial information such as land cover, coastal resources, inundation of coastal low-lying areas at various sea level rise scenarios, tenorial instruments, and upland or forest land population, among others. These fundamental data sets serve as vital inputs to policy formulation, physical and developmental planning, provision of social services, disaster risk reduction and management, and climate change mitigation and adaptation studies on various levels. In addition, the agency continues to provide information on classification of lands of the public domain, as well as technical assistance to DENR in the final mapping and preparation of draft House bills, fixing the final forest limits of the country, including validation of the general location of areas under the National Integrated Protected Area System, among other mapping requirements. Maritime zones and boundaries mapping. NAMRIA is responsible for the survey and mapping of the country's terrestrial and maritime territories. It delineates the different maritime zones of the archipelago, including the exclusive economic zone and continental shelves. It spearheaded the successful defense in 2012 of the country's submission to the United Nations for an extended continental shelf in the Benham Rise region, now called Philippine Rise. It also provides technical support to various government agencies on matters pertaining to maritime boundary delimitation and law of the sea issues, as well as to the local government units in the delineation and delimitation of the 15-kilometer municipal water boundaries. Geospatial Information Management and Services. NAMRIA's Geospatial Information and Management Services include Information System Strategic Planning, Geospatial Databasing, Information and Web System Development, Information and Communications Technology, Resource and Network Management, Geographic Information Systems or GIS Project Collaboration and Technical Assistance, GIS Trainings, Packaging of Geospatial Information Products and Services, Stakeholder Relations and Partnership Development, Information, Education, and Communication and Client Services. NAMRIA also plays active roles and even acts as lead in local and international programs in the area of geospatial information management and services relevant to disaster risk reduction and management and climate change adaptation. NAMRIA spearheads the implementation of the National Spatial Data Infrastructure, or NSDI, which is designed to provide a mechanism for sharing of and access to geospatial information produced and maintained by the various stakeholders and custodians across the country. A major output of the NSDI is GeoPortal Philippines. This application system, managed by NAMRIA, serves as a platform for online and open sharing of geospatial information. NAMRIA also assists other government agencies and the general public in disaster mapping. NAMRIA is one of the member agencies of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC. The agency collaborates with other government agencies in the production of multi-hazard maps and information, education, and communication campaigns in various local government units. NAMRIA also assists Congress in the crafting of priority bills on maritime zones, archipelagic sea lanes, land classification, comprehensive land use, and protected areas, among others. From its humble beginnings in 1987, NAMRIA has come a long way and stands firm in accomplishing its mandated tasks and responsibilities to its clients and stakeholders and to the goals of DENR. This is the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, an agency helping to build a geospatially empowered Philippines. Welcome to NAMRIA.
Okay, so maraming salamat po. So again, I would like to just reiterate that welcome to NAMRIA. So I hope by this time, maybe you have a better idea of what our agency is and what our products and services are. So welcome again to NAMRIA. So again, kagaya nga po na sinabi ko kanina, we are actually celebrating this month, July, the National Disaster Resilience Month. So ano nga po ba yung importance? What is the importance of this observance? And I have words for you. It's actually disaster resilience. We know for a fact that the Philippines is frequently visited by a number of disasters, hydromet man yan, or about Earth-related. There's actually, it's a smorgasbord of actually disasters, unfortunately rampaging the country. And that's why we need to develop really resiliency, okay, at the front line. So the National Disaster Resilience Month actually reiterates the importance of understanding disaster risks. It also strengthens the disaster risk governance. We hope to also invest in disaster risk reduction for resilience, enhance preparedness for effective response, and of course, implement the Build Back Better for rehabilitation and recovery. So all stakeholders are therefore invited to support yung ating pong Executive Order number 29, which was signed last June 28, 2017, mandating the observance of the National Disaster Resilience Month. Okay, that's throughout the country by conducting activities relative to building disaster resilience. At meron po tayong actually 4 na thematic areas when we talk of disaster resilience. Okay, so tandaan po natin ito. First one is prevention and mitigation. Second one is preparedness. Third one is response and rehabilitation. And of course, the fourth one is recovery. So again po, we have 4 thematic areas when we speak of disaster resilience. And we hope to achieve all of these 4 areas as we implement projects and activities. Prevention and mitigation, preparedness, response and rehabilitation, and recovery. Okay, so this year's observance for the 2021 National Disaster Resilience Month, may theme po tayo for this year. At ito po ay ang tamang pamamahala, kahandaan, kaalaman at pagtutulungan sa sakuna at pandemya'y kalasag ng bayan. Okay, so ano pa po bang yung theme na ito? So this year's theme actually emphasized perhaps the important role of disaster risk governance and the collaboration of all Filipinos to overcome the challenges of this pandemic. And of course, to build a green and resilient new normal for all of us. Okay, so naisip ko lang po, dito po sa NAMRIA, as the central mapping agency of the Philippine government, there are actually several projects that we do in terms of achieving disaster resiliency. So I can think of perhaps we have contributions actually for the GMMA Ready project in the production of disaster risk maps in the greater Metro Manila area. And these map layers and even more are actually uploaded sa amin pong Philippine Geoportal. So for those of us, actually, yung mga kasamahan po natin sa gobyerno and for those other stakeholders, the private sector, NGOs, and even LGUs watching us in YouTube, you may check our Philippine Geoportal po to access yung mga map layers po na ginagawa po ng aming ahensya. Okay po? And of course, naisip ko din, we also have international partnerships with the United Nations global geospatial information management. Okay, so all of these activities in one form or another have touched based on various disaster events. So name it, kagaya nga po na nasabi ng aming Deputy Administrator John Fabi kanina, name it, we have initiatives on hydromet, so that's typhoons, and we also have landslides, liquefaction, and even earthquakes. Okay, so gusto ko lang i-repeat yung word na earthquake kasi recently, just last Saturday actually, we here in Southern Luzon have experienced a magnitude 6.6 earthquake. Okay, so and talking about earthquake resiliency, because that's what we would like to achieve, we are really fortunate with us because one of our projects and one of our resource persons will discuss an initiative being done by NAMRIA on earthquake resiliency. So we have with us today si Ma'am Josephine O. Ferrer. So Ma'am Jo, as we fondly called her, is a supervising remote sensing technologist from our resource data analysis branch. Okay, so she will discuss NAMRIA's mapping of safe open spaces for earthquake resiliency of Metro Manila. Very, very relevant topic po ito for these times. Okay, so Ma'am Jo, magandang umaga po. I will now turn over the floor to you.
Jo, nakamute ka, Jo. Paki-on mo yung ano mo. Nakamute ka, Jo. Mag-unmute ka muna, Jo. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning, everyone. How does it feel today? It's Tuesday. Did you
Good
feel
morning.
also the tremor last Saturday? The epicenter was in Batangas. Pero ramdam natin dito sa Metro Manila. Ang lakas, di ba? Pero may mas malakas pa dyan. Yung tinatawag na the big one. Kung mangyari ngayon ito, saan tayo pupunta? Sino ang mga tutulong sa atin? Saan nga ba tayo tatakbo? So let us talk about that today. Mapping of safe open spaces in support for earthquake resiliency of Metro Manila. The outline of this presentation is, we have the background, the objectives, project area, major activities, map outputs, and way forward kung ano pa ang pwede nating gawin. Okay. Metro Manila and the nearby provinces is transected by the Valley Fault system. West Valley Fault runs through the cities of Marikina, Quezon City, Pasig, Makati, Taguig, Muntinlupa, and traverses the provinces of Bulacan, Laguna, and Cavite. East Valley Fault traverses the province of Rizal. In this condition, a 7.2 magnitudes and intensity 8 ground shaking could occur anytime. Yan na yung tinatawag nilang the big one. Ang Earthquake Resiliency Team, Earthquake Resiliency of Greater Metro Manila, was formed to prepare for the imminent threat of a massive earthquake in GMMA, to implement strategies to reduce risk and enhance the resiliency of the greater Metro Manila area. The Secretary of the Department of National Defense shall serve as the chairperson, The co-chairperson is the Secretary of DNR, and all heads of the national government agencies and other institutions as members. The presidential management staff will serve as coordinator and secretariat. What is the task of NAMRIA? It was instructed by the president during his SONA in 2017, NAMRIA to identify and map the safe open spaces to serve as possible sites for assembly areas, temporary shelters, rescue stations, field portals for medical, psychological, social, humanitarian, and other services, and storage depot for goods and supplies during and after earthquake. What is the pilot area? It is Metro Manila. Why Metro Manila? Because Metro Manila is one of the most populous or densely populated area in the country. And it is also the center of government offices, national government, major advances or major developments, and of course, Metro Manila is transected by this valley fault system. But Metro Manila, according to M. Myers and Metro Manila Yakal Plus, could be split into 4 if the big one happens. 4 quadrants. Hindi pare-pareho ang pagdi-divide ng mga cities and municipalities because they take into consideration the collapse of bridges and the liquefaction hazards. Also, pag natumba ang mga power lines, mga power posts, and the collapse of buildings, yung debris, magko-close ang mga roads, unpassable na po sila. So yung mga quadrants, talagang isolated. So let's take a look at the earthquake resiliency of GMMA. It is a two-pronged strategy. Ang una is enhancing the resiliency of GMMA. So, ang sabi niya, reduce yung mga residents and disperse yung mga activities sa business. So that should be by the government, pero parang ginawa na ni COVID pandemic sa atin. Kaya lang, hindi pa nadi-disperse yung mga business activities. We also have to streamline and strengthen the building permit procedures and enhance the standards of building construction materials. The second one is reducing the risk. Mayroon tayong pre and post disaster. For the pre, ensure yung resiliency of government buildings and infrastructure. So may mga retrofitting na nagaganap. Formulation of contingency plans and capacitate the first responders. For the post-disaster scenario, we have the continuous access to land, sea, and air transportation, and the availability of lifelines, food, water, shelter, health, etc. So what did we do with this? We had data gathering, preliminary mapping, field validation, presentation of preliminary outputs, preparation of final map, and distribution of outputs. What are the data sources? We have land use map of 2011 that is from the Exposure Database or Risk Analysis Project, RAP. DSM and DTM, LiDAR Point Cloud 2011. Building footprints from Orthophoto. Worldview 3 of 2017. Worldview 4 of 2018. Panchromatic 31 cm, yun yung resolution niya, and multispectral 124 cm. And the Google Earth images na recent. What are the related hazard maps? These are from PHIVOX. We have the ground rupture. We have tsunami. We have liquefaction and earthquake-induced landslides that could trigger yung earthquake. Criteria for selecting the safe open spaces. So dapat ang land use niya ay open, vacant spaces. Area should be at least 200 square meters. So nakategorize siya into 3, small, medium, and large. It should be located outside the radius of 1.5 times height of adjacent surrounding buildings para in case na mag-collapse, hindi madadaganan kung ano man yung mga nearest sa building na yon, and free from the earthquake-related hazards just mentioned. So ano-ano ang ginawa natin to identify open spaces muna? Nag-generate ng building heights. So that is the difference between the digital terrain model and the digital surface model. I-buffer ang mga building polygons times 1.5. Overlay the land use. Determine the open space. And then select open spaces with 200 square meters and above. And check results with recent imagery. Those are open spaces muna. And then we submit that or give the data to PHIVOX for further assessment. Si PHIVOX naman po, siya ang mag-a-assess na sasalahin niya lahat to come up with a safe open spaces. It should not be transected by the valley fault system, safe from tsunami, safe from liquefaction, safe from earthquake-related induced landslides. So gumawa ang NAMRIA ng mga procedures to validate the open spaces. Hindi namin makakaya kung kami-kami lang dito. So we need people para tumulong sa atin. So naisip namin yung mga LGUs ng NCR. Hindi naman natin pwedeng ibigay agad yung mandate sa kanila. Kaya we have coordinated with the DILG NCR for the participation on the validation of these safe open spaces. Sila kasi talaga ang magbibigay ng mandate sa mga LGUs natin. So series of meetings, and then we conducted the workshop to capacitate the local government units para magawa nila yung ating goal. So there were lectures kung paano i-fill up yung mga forms na ginawa natin at kung paano gagawin sa fieldwork. So very cooperative naman sila sa ating ginawa. Ang ating summary table ay mayroong ganitong itsura na i-fill up ng bawat LGU. Dapat may may pair of coordinates ang isang open space. May description siya. Saan barangay siya matatagpuan? Anong munisipyo or city? Gaano siya kalaki? Sino ang nagmamay-ari? Ano ang nearest landmark na makikita natin doon? At meron bang entrance or may mapapasukan ba in case na pwede natin gamitin yon for rescue? Or naka-wall ba? All those information are recorded in this table. So ito na po sila yung mga LGUs natin na validation sa kanilang respective lugar. Of course, with the assistance of NAMRIA pa rin. Hindi mawawala yun. Ito po yung mga result ng validated safe open spaces. For the East Quadrant, we have Marikina City and Pasig City. For large, medium, and small, ito po yung ating data. And they have a total of 65 open spaces. For the West Quadrant, Malabon City, Manila City, and Navotas. Very sad po tayo dahil wala pong safe open space ang Navotas. Hindi naman sa wala siyang open space. Wala lang siyang safe open spaces. Tatanggal po kasi yung mga open space na yon dahil sila ay prone either sa tsunami, sa liquefaction, or sa landslides. And then the North Quadrant, Caloocan City, Mandaluyong, Quezon City, San Juan, and Valenzuela. They have a total of 3,705 open spaces doon sa small, medium, and large. For the South Quadrant naman, isa na naman po ang walang open space. So, Pateros. They have a total of 1,868 safe open spaces. So, kung saan po may entry si Pateros in case, ay siya po yung pwede niyang puntahan. So, coordination po with these cities and municipalities para sila po yung aampon doon sa kapitbahay nila na walang safe open spaces. For the whole of Metro Manila, we have this data, and the total for the small, medium, large open spaces are 5,720. But ang project na ito ended in 2019. So nag-distribute kami ng mga outputs ng mga last months ng 2019 and the first 3 months of 2020. We are not sure if they are still open considering na many are privately owned. So embedded or nakareflect sa mga mapa na ito ang mga critical lifelines and facilities. Ito yung mga symbolism, and sila po yung mga contributors natin, ang mga national government agencies natin, na sila na rin po yung lead and co-lead doon sa 10 key responsibilities ng response. So sila na po yung ating mga tinatawag na first responders. So yung mga contributions nila ay ang mga ito. So si DTI, yung mga location ng supermarkets and convenience stores, bakery, bake shop, grocery, and others. The same, yun naman po, partner niya si Department of Agriculture for the assurance na ng availability ng food in case na mangyari nga itong big one na ito. The same is true kay DOH sa kanyang medical service Okay, we also have the BFP, the DPWH, PGP, DOT, OCD, MMDA, and PGP, DepEd. So ito yung mga contributions nilang data sa atin na makikita po natin sa ating mga mapa. So sila na rin po, kagaya ng sinabi ko, ang makakatulong natin ng mga responders in case na meron nga pong ganitong mangyayaring disaster. Ayaw na. Okay. So, pagkatapos ng mga mapa natin, preliminary mapping, ay consultation with these NGAs, responders, and LGUs. Kung magagamit ba nila yung ating mga ginawang mapa, makikita ba, easy to use, naintindihan ba maski common tao? Kung mag-access ang mga ibang tao, pwede rin ba nilang gamitin ito? Makakaya ba? So, kinuha natin ang mga comments nila and para sa input ng ating mga magiging final maps. Ito na rin po yung ating mga LGUs who participated with the workshop. At ito rin ang ating mga ginawa. So comments, suggestions, lahat po kinonsider po natin kasi sila rin naman po ang gagamit ng mga mapang ito. For the map outputs, for the East Quadrant, meron tayong ginawang 1:20,000 scale, mga malalaki. Yun yung mga quadrants. At mayroon din tayong mga malalaki lalo na 1:5,000 scale. So ganito po yung mga itsura ng ating mga mapa. So ito yung mga mapang malalaki na 1:5,000 scale. Makikita po natin yung mga safe open spaces na nakakode sa yellow, green, at saka yung pink. Kung makikita nyo sa actual ang mga mapang ito, visible po yung mga streets, yung mga bridges, yung mga bubong ng mga infrastructures, buildings na makikilala ninyo kung dito kayo sa lugar na ito. So, ito, mas malaki pa. And then we go to the next. Ang map outputs natin ay in print and digital copies, JPEG format. We have 1:5,000 scale, yung mga malalaking mapa. That is 115 map sheets for the whole of Metro Manila. And 1:20,000 scale, we have 5 map sheets for the 4 quadrants. Dahil ang North Quadrant ay may 2 map sheets, medyo malaki siya. Marami siyang cities and municipalities na na-include doon. So we have provided the national government agencies total of 120 map sheets plus yung mga digital copies na naka-USB. So we also have the ERG Technical Working Group or the Earthquake Resiliency Team, Earthquake Resiliency for Greater Metro Manila area, and of course yung mga other institutions na member din ng ERG ay nabigyan din po. Binigyan din po natin ang mga LGUs, prints and digital copies. So si LGU, isang quadrant kung saan siya nabibilang at saka yung mga 1:5,000 scale maps na sako. So on the right side ay kung ilang map sheets ang na-receive ng bawat local government unit. So ang provision is next, ay either you come to NAMRIA to pick up the maps or shinare na rin namin siya sa Google, sa email, Google, and then pwede ring pumunta siya sa NAMRIA. So yan po yung mga provisions natin. For the NGAs, hinatid po natin isa-isa yung 120 map sheets. It is also uploaded in the Philippine Geoportal, www.geoportal.gov.ph. So lahat po ng mga mapa natin ay naka-upload sa portal na ito. This is NAMRIA's portal. So kung gusto po ninyong makita or gusto ninyong masilip or mag-avail, you just go visit the website. It is also uploaded in the Freedom of Information Facebook page. So marami po ang nag-review dito sa mga portals na ito. And also sa Hazard Hunter PH ng DOST FIVOX, sinishare po namin yung mga outputs ng mga safe open spaces na na-generate natin dahil gusto namin na very familiar kayo sana sa mga open spaces na ito. Way forward natin is to continue mapping with the SOS with critical lifelines and facilities on the nearby provinces of Metro Manila. So alam na natin yung mga kapitbahay natin in case po na hindi tayo ma-accommodate ng Metro Manila safe open spaces pag the big one, dahil baka yung mga private hindi natin ma-access, we can go to our adjacent provinces. So willing naman po sila na nagkipag-coordinate nga kami, bumisita kami sa kanila, very much willing po sila na gumawa ng project na ganito. We introduced the project to them. Gusto nila, very eager. Nahinder lang yung sa pandemya, but we are proposing it. So ito po yung mga visit natin sa mga probinsyang yan. Now, ang mga safe open spaces na ito ay kukunti lang. Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, hindi natin sure kung lahat ay open pa rin. Hindi naman namin kayo tinatakot, no? Kaya kami nag-webinar. Kami nga ang takot kasi baka marami sa mga Manila residents natin ang hindi alam tungkol sa the big one. We are here to raise awareness. We are here to bring you closer to the national government agencies mentioned, yung mga may key responsibilities for the search rescue operations natin, and who could provide you more information also regarding this matter. And we are here also to inform you para malaman ninyo. And we could pray together na hindi na nga sana mangyayari ang the big one na ito. For the meantime, isettle natin yung sarili natin. Just remember na safe open spaces, our refuge, our sanctuary when the big one strikes. So in behalf of NAMRIA DNR, the Earthquake Resiliency Team and Earthquake Resiliency for GMMA, this is Josephine Ferrer. Maraming salamat po. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, so maraming salamat po Ma'am Jo for that very comprehensive and I would say very, very timely presentation. So again, maraming salamat po Ma'am. So dadako na po siguro tayo sa ating question and answer. But before that, may sinend kasi If you will notice doon po sa ating live viewer chat, for those of us who are attuned dito po sa ating YouTube channel, yung copies po ng presentation and also yung ating pong e-certificates will be provided to you after you accomplish yung aming pong attendance form and also yung IEC evaluation form. Okay po? So later po, I think the link will be provided. So going back to our questions, magsa-start po ako kasi I have a list here. I actually wrote some of the questions that I noticed sa ating live viewer chat. So ide-direct ko na sa inyo to, Ma'am Jo, ha?
Yes po.
Okay. So ito po ay nanggaling kay Asinad. Hello po, Asinad. So ask ko lang po kung free and accessible to the public ang mga satellites and remotely sensed data na ginamit nyo daw po.
As I have said, you can visit the Philippine Geoportal website. Lahat po ng mga generated products and services ng NAMRIA ay uploaded po sa ating portal. So, kung ano yung mandate po ni NAMRIA, kung nag-generate po siya ng mapa, after the project, yung mga outputs po ay ina-upload po natin sa portal. So you can find which map would satisfy your needs or yung requirements kung ano man po yung inyong gagawin.
Okay po. So may pangalawang question din si Asinad. Sorry, I don't know kung Mr. ba o Miss si Asinad. So tatawagin ko na lang siya na Asinad. Okay? So may pangalawang question siya. Allow me to read dito po sa ating live viewer chat. Ma'am Jo, so paano daw po ba yung ibang provinces? So meron po bang maps ng safe open spaces yung ibang provinces or meron po bang plano ang NAMRIA to map the safe open spaces outside Metro Manila?
Yes po. Actually, yun nga po yung way forward natin, yung mga nabanggit natin na adjacent provinces of Metro Manila. And of course, may proposal din po tayo na ito kasi yung susunod. Oo naman sila during the visitation, willing din sila na makipag-cooperate. And of course, for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, meron din naman pa tayo. Way forward po yun.
Okay, so yun daw yung way forward ng ating ahensya. So magkakaroon ng mga mapping initiatives outside Metro Manila area. So I think that also answers the question of Mr. Jerome Adriano. So good morning po. Before we proceed, gusto ko lang, I'm actually amazed kasi I'm actually looking really at the live viewer chat right now and I'm seeing some of our participants came as far as Ifugao. Some of them are actually from Sorsogon. So magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Hope you are well and safe this morning. So this is a question, Ma'am Jo, from Mr. Arnel Ibong. Do you have internet link for Philippine map with the Valley Fault system?
Ang mandate po ng Valley Fault System ay si DOST Phobox po. So yung portal po na Hazard Hunter PH, doon po nila ina-upload yung kanilang mga mapa for the fault systems. In case po na na-share nila sa NAMRIA, may naman po, may access naman po tayo. Pero mas maganda siguro na Sky Phobox po na portal tayo mag-visit. Mas maganda na kung sino yung may mandate nung pagmamapa na yon, sa kanya po tayo humingi. Baka mas recent po yung maibibigay niya, mas detail.
Okay po, ma'am. So I think I have two questions. I'm not sure if you were able to answer this already. Ito po, Ma'am Jo, ay nanggaling kay Miss Melissa Lavente. Good morning, Miss Melissa.
Good morning.
So ang question niya po is, are public open spaces being asked to keep the spaces open? So ito po ba ang mga na-identify natin na public open spaces ay talagang nire-request na i-open talaga for evacuation because sabi niya po, we might not have enough space for the entire population.
Yung mga government-owned safe open spaces ay may mga contingency plans po tayo sa mga yan. Sa mga LGUs, titingnan po natin kung nasaan yung mga spaces na pwede silang magtayo ng kanilang mga depot or kung mga makeshift tents in case na mangyari nga po yun. So meron po, ang government po ay nagagawa talaga ng mga plano kung papaano nila aayusin ang mga tao in case na may mga ganitong mga disasters. For the publicly owned safe open spaces, hindi natin masasabi na open sila, pero siguro yung mga LGUs, pwede nilang kausapin yung may-ari ng space na yon. Kagaya nung nasa table natin ang description ng bawat safe open space. So, coordination siguro ng ating gobyerno with the owner of the safe open space kung pwede nilang i-share. So, nasa kanila na po kung ano yung sagot ng may-ari, either kinausap nila personally or through letter kung wala naman dito yung may-ari. Pero for humanitarian purpose siguro, pag ganito, open naman po siguro yun.
Okay po, salamat po for that. And I think yung second question ni Ms. Melissa talks about the availability of the SOS maps online. And nasabi nga po siguro yata ni Ma'am Jo kanina, correct me na lang Ma'am Jo if I'm right, okay? Na ito pong mga maps natin can be accessed, can be viewed sa ating pong GeoPortal Philippines. Ano po ma'am, tama po ba?
Yes po.
Okay. So meron din po akong question from Miss Marie Ver. Paano daw po Ma'am Jo kung ang mga open spaces ay malapit sa dagat? So our office daw po kasi, yung kanilang office ni Miss Marie Ver is along Mabini, I think it's Mabini, Manila, and our house is near the North Pier.
Yung mga open spaces po na prone to tsunami or liquefaction or landslides ay tinanggal na po ng FIPOX. Open space siya pero hindi siya safe. So yung mga declared po natin na safe open spaces ay yung talagang wala na siyang, hindi na siya disaster prone sa earthquake-related hazards. So ang safe open space natin ay talagang safe. Kung open space lang siya at subject siya sa mga earthquake-related hazards, natanggal na po yun. Pero kung walang-wala talagang open space, nasa gobyerno po ninyo, nasa LGU po ninyo, yung pagde-decide kung gagamitin po ba or hindi.
Okay,
Or
salamat.
makikikapit bahay tayo.
Okay, salamat po Ma'am Jo. So I'm scanning again, skimming through the questions posted sa ating pong live viewer chat. A lot of the people are asking po, I'm not sure if someone can answer this. Pwede daw po bang ma-download yung mga shape files na ginamit po natin para po sa ating SOS mapping project?
We are only the temporary custodian for the data of the different agencies na nag-contribute nga po sa atin ng kanilang mga shape files for this. But we are working para may share po tayo kasi kailangan meron din silang signal na okay, you can share it. Pero siguro sa ngayon wala pa tayong memorandum of sharing agreement for the shape files. Kaya we're just sharing kung ano yung mga generated outputs ng NAMRIA. But pag napirmahan na nila yung sharing agreement and they are willing na for public consumption or anybody can download it. Pero kung hindi naman, nila i-share for downloading pero naka-share lang siya, pwede ninyong gamitin as base maps for the project na ginagawa ninyo. Pwede yung ganon.
Okay po. So again, allow me to just skim through at sa ating live viewer chat from Miss Lani Gorgonia. So Ma'am Jo, when were these maps last updated? Kailan daw po last na na-update itong mga mapa natin? And how often do you update the maps?
As I have discussed earlier, 2019 po siya nag-end. Ang distribution was late 2019 and early 2020s. So dahil sa updating naman, yun nga, may proposal po tayo, kasama siya sa way forward natin. Kasi alam po natin na kailangan nating mag-update dahil hindi po natin mapipigilan yung development ng mga open spaces na ito, lalo na yung mga privately owned. Wala naman po tayo kasing ordinance na magpipigil. Walang law na huwag mo siyang i-develop kasi open space yan, gagamitin yan, naka-reserve yan. Wala eh. Kaya kailangan uli nating i-update yung mga yan sa proposal nga po. Medyo mahirap ding gumalaw na wala kang written na project or wala kang project na gagawa ka ng ganito. Pero sa mga tao, lalo na sa atin na nasa webinar na ito, pwede naman po nating bisitahin yon. So tingnan po natin yung mga safe open spaces and as residents, bumisita po tayo doon. Tapos i-update niyo kay si NAMRIA. Ito na ngayon yung itsura ng open space. Meron na siyang development, nagtayo na sila ng mall, nagtayo na sila ng ganito. So, pwede naman po yung ganoon. I-alert lang po si NAMRIA para ma-check natin sa mga recent images kung tama nga po yung sinasabi.
Okay. And then meron pa po dito si Sir Plopmark_18. So ang tanong po niya, is there a training you provide for the use of the GeoPortal or manual of use at least? And siguro ako na din yung mag-a-answer nito, Ma'am Jo. If you get to access yung aming pong GeoPortal Philippines na website, meron po siya, I believe, na manual na parang step-by-step procedure on how you can view and how you can perhaps edit a little of the data na map layers na uploaded po sa aming GeoPortal Philippines. So to answer your question, Sir Plopmark_18, yes, may manual of use po ang GeoPortal Philippines. Paki-check na lang po sa website po ng GP. Okay po. So skimming through again, Ms. Lem Constantino or Mr. Lem Constantino, apologies for that. Tinatanong po niya yung soil classification data daw po ng Sulu and Tawi-Tawi. I believe this question will be better answered by our colleagues from the Department of Agriculture, particularly po sa Bureau of Soils and Water Management. Okay po? Kasi po soil classification po yung tinatanong niya. And then, eto po, Bobby Diaries asked, Ma'am Jo, are you going to place signages on this safe open spaces? Yun po yung tanong niya. Place signages daw po doon sa mga na-identify natin na safe open spaces. Maglalagay daw po ba tayo or nasa jurisdiction po ba ito ng LGU? Ano po ba yung ano?
Nasa jurisdiction talaga ng LGU yun, yung paglalagay ng mga signages, pero we can raise that to them kung okay ba yung ganoon.
Anyways po, I believe nagkaroon naman po tayo ng mga succeeding consultations po, di ba, sa ating mga local government units within Metro Manila. So I think isa po ito sa mga pwede nilang gawing activity or initiative as a response to the safe open spaces identified within their own localities. So that answers the question po. So from Mr. Jose Abraham Ongkiko, So question daw po Ma'am Jo, regarding the open spaces na na-identify po ng ating project, how does it relate to the existing population in Metro Manila? So para bang finactor in niyo po ba yung population sa buong Metro Manila in identifying the open spaces?
Siguro aware lang tayo na maraming residents ang Metro Manila, pero yung pandemya na ito ay nag-cause ng pagbabalik probinsya ng ibang residents because of employment issues. So yung data on population ngayon ay mas bago. So siguro sabihin natin sa mga LGUs kasi one of their mandates talaga is kung papaano nila aayusin or patatakbuhin ang katiwasayan ng mga residente nila in case na ganitong na ang mangyayari. But we can raise sa mga LGUs.
Okay po. So another question from Mr. Gerardo Oliver Belen. Tanong ko lang po, user-friendly po ba ang GeoPortal? So allow me to answer this, yes. Very user-friendly naman po ang aming GeoPortal. So I would suggest that you access this, and if it's your first time to really access yung GeoPortal Philippines, meron nga pong manual tayo on how to use and execute yung mga map layers po natin doon. Okay? So salamat po Mr. Gerardo. Okay, so skimming again dun po sa ating mga questions. Another question po from Asinad. So Ma'am Jo, paano daw po kung si LGU from ibang municipality ay nag-determine ng kanilang sariling safe open spaces? Kailangan pa daw po ba magpa-approve sa NAMRIA para ma-publish yung open spaces nila?
Dahil nag-workshop naman po tayo, alam po nila yung mga kailangan natin sa project na ito. Sinabihan po natin sila before na in case may pagbabago sa mga open spaces natin na dineclare, just sabihin lang sa atin para we can work together again para doon sa updating ng kanilang open space.
Okay po. So I think this is also a question from, wait lang, hinahanap siya, parang nawala siya. Eto, so si Peng Lumaad, ask ko lang po kung ang Veterans Memorial and Medical Center, I believe ito po ay sa Quezon City, ay kasama sa mga na-identify bilang isang open space for NCR people.
Yes po. Nakita niyo po ba siya sa picture na nagbabalidate tayo doon? Although, coordination lang po with the veterans pero alam naman po nila, sinabi naman po natin, yung LGU na po talaga yung makikipag-usap to coordinate with the owners of these safe open spaces para in case nga po magamit. Dahil hindi naman po tayo pupunta agad doon na walang paalam. So after the project, sinabi po namin na lahat ng mga nasa table kung privately owned, pwede po bang sulatan yung may-ari or puntahan kung pwedeng gamitin yung kanilang mga safe open spaces. Pag nandyan na si The Big One, wala tayong pupuntahan kasama sila sa identified.
Okay po. So I think I only have 2 or maybe 3 questions in the interest of time po kasi we're supposed to be ending at 11 sharp. So, okay. So as a way forward daw po from Ms. Malu Canon, Ma'am Jo, is there any discussion with the LGUs to maintain a certain open spaces on their respective areas?
Sa mga government-owned safe open spaces, aware naman po yung LGU natin sa sitwasyon. So, sinabi namin na kung pwedeng i-maintain lahat wala munang development. Although wala nga po tayong law, walang ordinance na magpipigil sa kanila. Pero nasa gobyerno siya at nakipag-work siya sa atin regarding this project. So the LGU ang may control kung mag-develop po ba sila doon sa lugar na yon or hindi. Sila po talaga yung dapat tanungin. Kung kasama po yung nagtatanong sa kanyang LGU, pwede na po siyang dumirekta sa LGU. Kunin lang niya yung mapa sa atin. Tanong niya kung ano yung mga particular open spaces ang gusto niyang i-retain as open spaces at tanungin na rin yung LGU kung magde-develop pa ba sila doon sa contingency plans nila. Nakasaad kung alin-alin doon ang kanilang mga gagamitin in case na yung disaster na ito ay mangyari.
Okay po. So actually marami pa pong questions, no? So hindi ko na po ito mababasa lahat, again in the interest of time. Kagaya nga po ng nasabi ng ating chat moderator po si Sir Jeffrey Codala, you can actually send your questions doon po sa email address na na-provide po sa chat box po natin sa live viewer chat para po mas properly ma-address po natin yung mga concerns. Because I'm seeing here there are technical questions about the Philippine Geoportal project at meron din po mga questions na I believe yung mga sarili natin, mga local government units yung makakasagot. Okay po? So regarding yung paano ba if ever pwede makapag-download or paano makapag-access anything about Geoportal Philippines, I would suggest that you just send us an email. Okay? So siguro last question but not really related to, medyo nag-spark lang ng interest sa akin ito. May vacant positions po kaya ang NAMRIA para sa mga mappers? Of course, you can just see Sir Lever XXX. Ayan, may pa-username pa na XXX si Sir Lever. Paki-check na lamang po yung website po ng aming ahensya. It's namria.gov.ph. Makikita po natin doon yung mga available vacancies po. Depende po sa position na gusto po natin applyan. Okay? So at this point, maraming salamat po again, Ma'am Jo, for a very, very comprehensive discussion. Again, this is really timely. Nakikita ko yung interest talaga ng mga tao, not just because may recent na earthquake tayo naranasan sa Southern Luzon, but again, in general kasi, we are frequently visited by these natural disasters, not just earthquake resiliency, but also a lot of other resources. Na-mention nga po kanina yung hydromet, and then yung landslides, liquefaction, all of these things, Philippines is actually vulnerable, especially in some areas within the Greater Metro Manila area. And okay, so again, I would like, as much as I would like to continue our discussion, our Q&A in the interest of time, again, kindly send na lang po your questions doon po sa email address na na-provide po ni Sir Jeffrey Codala sa ating live viewer chat. Okay po? Okay. So, dumako na po tayo sa ating closing remarks for this morning. It's a very productive discussion that we had. And of course, I would like to call in the OIC Director of the Resource Data Analysis Branch. Andito na po ba si Director Ofelia Castro? Boss Effie, nandito na po ba kayo, ma'am?
Yes po.
Okay, good morning po, ma'am. Over to you po.
Good morning, Andrew. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jo, for the very informative and timely presentation. So ulitin ko lang, just this weekend, we had a 6.7 magnitude earthquake near Calatagan, Batangas. And the tremor was greatly felt in Metro Manila. So huwag na tayo mag-antay for the big one. Sabi nga ni DA John, we have to be prepared. And preparation through education is less costly than learning through tragedy. Sabi nga ni Max Mayfield. So knowledge is really the key to survival. So visit Geoportal Philippines sa www.geoportal.gov.ph and find out where is the nearest open space in your locality. So simple lang, ating tandaan, ligtas ang laging handa at nakalalamang ang may alam. So maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood at pakikiisa sa observance ng Disaster Resilience Month. Keep safe, everyone. Back to you, Andrew.
Okay, so maraming salamat po, Boss Effie, for that message. A gentle reminder lamang po sa ating mga participants coming all over from the Philippines. Again, thank you for participating. And if you would like to get a copy of the presentation and also your eCertificates, please do not forget to accomplish yung ating attendance sheet / IEC evaluation form. The link to which will be provided by Mr. Jeffrey Codala sa ating pong live viewer chat in a few minutes. Okay, so again, do not forget to accomplish yung ating pong IEC evaluation form and attendance form because this will be the basis for us kung sino po yung mapapadalhan ng free copy po ng ating presentation and at the same time yung mga e-certificates po natin. Okay? And I believe itong link na ito will be available 24 hours. Okay? So within 24 hours po sana ay ma-accomplish po agad natin itong mga forms na ito. Okay? So again, I'm really happy because the discussions are really productive. Ulitin ko lang ulit, if you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to send us an email, okay? Because we would like to keep this ball rolling. We would like to be really of service when it comes to disaster resiliency. And I think that's one of the priority areas of the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority. Okay? So palakpakan naman dyan. Okay, maraming salamat po sa lahat. Okay, so nandito na po tayo sa dulong parte ng ating programa. On behalf of our administrator, our dear administrator, Yusek Peter and Tiangco, PhD, ako po si Andrew Ramos, thanking you for attending our webinar, NAMRIA's webinar for this year's National Disaster Resilience Month observance. So maraming salamat po muli sa ating lahat at mag-ingat po tayo.